In the desolate realm of Veridia, where perpetual twilight cast long, skeletal shadows across crumbling citadels, young Kaelen bore the crushing weight of a dying kingdom. Whispers of ancient evils echoed through the barren mountains, and the very ground beneath their feet seemed to sigh with despair. Kaelen, a prince by birth but a scholar by heart, felt the relentless grip of fear and uncertainty. Each dawn brought fresh tidings of plague, famine, or the encroaching shadow legions, stripping away his hope, leaving only a gnawing emptiness. How could one soul stand against such an onslaught when even the strongest warriors faltered and kings despaired? The burden of kingship, thrust upon him too soon, was a crown of thorns. His father, the old king, had succumbed to a wasting sickness, leaving Veridia vulnerable. Kaelen sat in the echoing throne room, the grand tapestries torn and faded, listening to the desperate pleas of his people and the grim reports of his generals. His advisors, ancient and cynical, offered no solutions, only prophecies of doom. Kaelen's hands trembled, not from weakness, but from an overwhelming sense of powerlessness. He felt like a lone sentinel on a crumbling wall, watching the tide of oblivion rise. Sleep offered no escape. His nights were plagued by nightmares of fire, destruction, and the chilling laughter of unseen entities. He would often wake in a cold sweat, his heart pounding, the whispers of despair louder than any mortal voice. The anger at his helplessness, the fear for his people, and the profound sadness for what Veridia had become consumed him. He lashed out, became withdrawn, pushing away the few loyal souls who still sought to aid him. He felt trapped in a vortex of negative emotions, spiraling into an abyss he feared he would never escape. One rain-lashed evening, seeking solace in the forgotten archives beneath the citadel, Kaelen stumbled upon a hidden chamber, untouched for centuries. Amidst dust-shrouded relics and forbidden tomes, he found a scroll bound in ancient, blackened leather. Its title, etched in a forgotten script, spoke of the unyielding mind. He unrolled it carefully, his fingers tracing symbols he barely recognized. The text spoke not of magic or martial prowess, but of an internal fortress, a philosophy for navigating chaos. It was Stoicism, a wisdom thought long lost in these dark lands. The scrolls spoke of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. Kaelen scoffed. How could he control anything when the very ground trembled with enemy advances? Yet a strange curiosity pulled him. The text urged acceptance of fate, not as surrender, but as a recognition of reality. It spoke of virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance as the only true good. Intrigued, yet skeptical, Kaelen sought out the rumored stone hermit, a reclusive mystic dwelling in the dead peaks, who was said to possess knowledge of the ancient ways. The hermit, a gaunt figure with eyes like burning coals, lived in a cavern carved into a cliff face, overlooking a chasm that seemed to swallow all light. He was no conventional sage. His wisdom was sharp, unyielding, and often delivered with a chilling intensity that matched the bleak landscape. "Boy," the hermit rasped, "you seek peace in a storm, foolish. Seek control of the only thing you can." Your mind, he taught Kaelen the dichotomy of control, that external events are indifferent and only our judgments about them cause suffering. Kaelen struggled, wanting to rage against the injustice of his world, but the hermit's words, like venom, seeped into his core. Kaelen returned to his citadel, the hermit's words echoing in his mind. He found it agonizing to apply the principles. A general delivered news of a devastating defeat. Kaelen's first instinct was fury. But he paused, remembered the hermit's counsel. Did I control the battle? No. Can I control my reaction? Yes. He forced himself to listen calmly, to assess, not to explode. He discovered that while the defeat stung, the absence of his usual rage left a strange clarity. This was a tiny victory, a hairline crack in the wall of his despair. The Stoic path wasn't about suppressing emotions, but understanding them. He learned to observe his fear, his grief, his anger, without letting them dictate his actions. When a plague swept through the lower districts, Kaelen, instead of succumbing to panic, focused on what he could do. Organize aid, ensure proper burial rites, and provide comfort where possible. He moved through the suffering with a quiet resolve, his presence a steady anchor in the swirling chaos. He realized virtue was not a lofty ideal, but practical action in the face of adversity. The true test came when his younger sister, Alara, fell victim to a dark sorcery, her life slowly draining away. Kaelen felt the ancient despair return, the urge to curse fate. He retreated to his private chambers, the hermit's words ringing in his ears, "Amor fati, love your fate." He wrestled with the concept, not as passive acceptance, but as an active embrace of what is, understanding that even tragedy holds a lesson. He did not give up on Alara, fighting for her life with renewed determination, not because he controlled the outcome, but because he controlled his effort and his love. He learned to accept the inevitable, and this acceptance paradoxically freed him to act with greater purpose. His composure, once a mask for his inner turmoil, became genuine. He stopped raging at the encroaching darkness. Instead, he studied it, understood its patterns, and sought to find the points of leverage, however small. During a brutal winter siege, when food ran scarce and morale plummeted, Kaelen was seen rationing his own meager portions, walking the icy battlements, speaking calmly to shivering guards. He wasn't promising victory, but reminding them of their duty, their virtue, their inner strength. His quiet resilience became a stark contrast to the panic and despair that permeated the kingdom. He was building his inner citadel, brick by painful brick. Word of Kaelen's unshakable demeanor spread, not just among his people, but even to rival lords and the shadowy cults that served the enemy. They expected him to break, to succumb to madness or despair, as so many rulers before him had. But Kaelen remained steady. His decisions, born not of fear but of rational thought and virtuous intent, were surprisingly effective. He didn't always win, but he always acted with integrity. His leadership, now a quiet force, began to inspire a loyal few who saw in him not just a prince, but a living testament to an enduring strength. They understood that true power wasn't in crushing enemies, but in refusing to be crushed oneself. The ultimate confrontation arrived when the arch-necromancer, the architect of Veridia's suffering, launched his final assault. The capital was engulfed in shadows, the air thick with the stench of decay and dark magic. Kaelen, rather than facing him in a futile, grand battle, used his wisdom to understand the necromancer's motivations and weaknesses. He did not seek to destroy, but to contain, to neutralize the threat not with brute force, but with strategic precision and an unwavering moral compass. He confronted the necromancer not with rage, but with calm defiance, recognizing that while he might not defeat the evil entirely, he could control his response to it, preventing its victory over his spirit. Kaelen's journey from despair to unshakable resilience demonstrates the profound power of Stoicism. He didn't magically defeat all external evils, but he conquered the inner turmoil that truly binds us. By understanding what he could control, his judgments, actions, and virtues, and accepting what he could not, external events, loss, and the will of fate, he forged an indomitable spirit. His story reminds us that true strength is not found in power over others, but in sovereignty over oneself, a fortress of mind that no external force can breach in a world rife with uncertainty and challenges. The ancient wisdom of Stoicism remains a beacon. Like Kaelen, we face our own dark realms: fear, anxiety, loss. But by cultivating an inner citadel of virtue, practicing the dichotomy of control, and embracing our fate, we can find profound peace and purpose, not by escaping life's storms, but by learning to sail through them with an unyielding spirit. Your greatest battle is always within, and your greatest victory is always yourself.